Hi, I'm Jamie from Farming Smarter, and this is our trial looking at pollinator species, so different plants that we're going to test to see which pollinators like which species. The main premise for this project was to look at commercially available mixes and some native species to see if there's a difference in what attracts pollinators. And we want to help farmers increase the habitat out there in some of the marginal lands, so along pivot corners or roadside reclaimed roads, oil and gas roads around the dugout, things like that, where they're non-productive land you can transform into something that can provide ecological goods and services for your farm. So with this plant here, this plot has both annual and perennial flowers in them, or flowering species, and we're trying to get different species that'll flower at different times so that the window for foraging for these pollinators is wider. So some of these species would have flowered early in the spring, and then some will flower later in the year. So you can see a lot of these flowers are already finishing, whereas something like the sunflower hasn't opened yet and will open in a little while, providing extra food for the pollinators. In this trial, we're looking at 5 different treatments. And in that, we're looking at an annual and perennial mix together, an annual only mix, a perennial mix only, a commercially available mix that we bought from a seed grower, and then also a wildflower mix. This wildflower mix is one that we actually just picked up from Canadian Tire, and it has a variety of species that are intermixed in this. So you can see there's a variety of different colors and different timings for the flowering as well. I think establishing these native mixes as opposed to commercially available seed, something like these sunflowers, you're going to see a difference in the availability of the seed. So when you look at getting a native seed source, the volume is a concern, I think, for commercial applications. So getting farmers to grow these in their fields, they might not have enough volume. So for this pollinator study, we're going to look at the different types species that are providing these pollination services. So there's a number of bumblebee species that we're seeing, or seeing honeybees. Other pollinators are included, like moths and butterflies. I see some grasshoppers and dragonflies in here, and other insects like beneficial ground beetles. This perennial plot has 10 different species in it, and this one over here is an annual and perennial mix, and it's got 15 different species within it. That commercially available mix over there has 4 different types of plants in it, and then there was 17 different types of flowers in the commercially available mix that we bought. So Farming Smarter applied for a CAP grant to look into pollinator sanctuaries, and we wanted to get an idea of which flowering species would be easily established in a dryland setting like this. And we also wanted to gauge an idea of how many pollinators and which types would be attracted to which types of flowering species, and as well to get an idea of the flowering periods, which flowered at which times, so that we had continuous flowering throughout the growing season for the different pollinating species.